it's Hailey, and today I'm going to be doing a ginormous book haul, like embarrassingly so. So I have 25 books to haul today, which is ridiculous. So as such, I'm not really going to be able to tell you a lot about all of these books because I don't have time for that. Because realistically, if I spend 1 minute talking about each book, this video is going to be at least 25 minutes long, and I'm not about that life. So let's just get into this, starting off with the books that I received this month. So this video does feature a paid promotion with Disney-Hyperion in honor of the recent release of The Adventurers Guild by Zach Lauren Clark and Nick Eliopoulos. Very difficult names for me to remember for some reason. I absolutely love the cover of this book though, it just looks so fun. So this book is set in a world that has fallen to monsters, and it follows two best friends, Zed and Brock, who have very high hopes for the future despite the state of the world that they're living in. So just when it seems like all of the dreams of these boys are coming true, they end up finding themselves in the Adventurers Guild, which is the line of defense against these monsters. And in this guild, they end up uncovering a conspiracy that could change the fate of the world forever. This sounds like it's going to be a really cool fantasy featuring a very strong friendship, some different mythical creatures, kind of darker fantasy for middle grade, but I'm all about it. It sounds awesome, and I'm so excited to have it. And this is actually the first installment in a new middle grade series, and I can't get enough of series, so that is great news. Also, can we just appreciate the beauty that is this map in this book? It is gorgeous. And we all know that fantasies with good maps usually end up being good fantasies. This actually will have come out a couple of days ago when I post this video, so a very recent release, and I highly encourage you to pick up a copy because it sounds awesome. Disney-Hyperion also surprised me with another package, and that contained The Dreadful Tale of Prosper Redding by Alexandra Bracken. I actually unboxed this in one of my reading vlogs. I don't remember which one, but if I do, I will link it for you guys. But I was so excited to get this because I do really like Alexandra Bracken, even though I was a huge fan of The Darkest Minds and then Passenger wasn't a huge fan of. But this book has been getting nothing but great reviews. It seems like a perfect spooky Halloween read, so I'm very excited to give it a go. Next up, I have some books that I received at the HarperCollins Frenzy Presents event that I went to in Toronto this past month, and it was so awesome. I loved meeting some authors there. I met Angie Thomas, Julie Murphy, and Becky Albertalli, and I met a bunch of other bookish people, and it was just so great, and I also got some books out of it, which I can never complain about. So the first book that I got is actually a finished copy, and that is Dividing Eden by Joelle Charbonneau. This was actually a blind date with a book, and it just had some stuff written on it. I forget what, and realistically I should have waited and filmed me unwrapping it, but I am too impatient and I had to know what book it was. I think it said something like for fans of Sarah J Maas and Red Queen, that sort of thing, so I was like, cool, I'll give it a go. And I believe this is a fantasy about twins who are both vying for the throne, which sounds like it could be the setup for a very cool story. The rest of these are arcs, and I'm actually not showing you two of the arcs that I got just because I had hauled them in a previous video because I had gotten copies elsewhere. So that was This Darkness Mine by Mindy McGinnis, which I read and hated, and then They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera, which I enjoyed. Next, I got Top 10 by Katie Contugo. I have actually read this one as well. I ended up forgetting my book in the trunk of the car, so I had very few options to read on my drive home, which was a very long drive home, so I ended up finishing This Darkness Mine and this book, and I thankfully enjoyed this book. This was a really cute contemporary about friendship and romance, and it was my first time reading a Katie Contugo novel, and I wasn't disappointed. I really liked it. Though I didn't love it because I found the method of storytelling a little bit hard to connect to, but I think that was just a personal thing with this book. So I think I will give some of her other books a go soon. Then I ended up getting Zenith, the Andromeda Saga by BookTube's own Sasha Alsberg and AuthorTube's own Lindsay Cummings, and I'm going to be honest, I wasn't really planning on picking this book up. I was going to pick it up just to support Sasha because I love supporting friends, and I'm very happy for her and all she has accomplished with this book, as well as Lindsay. I think they have worked so hard on this, and I'm very proud of them, so I was going to pick it up out of support for them, but the thing is, I'm not really interested in sci-fi, as you guys probably know by now, and this seems to be a very, like, heavy sci-fi, so I don't know if I will end up reading this, especially because it's so big, but maybe one day I will end up picking it up. But I am happy that I have a copy because I'm just very proud that we have a booktuber that has a published novel. I think that is amazing, and I hope that one day I can add my name to that list. And the final arc I got from HarperCollins is Three Sides of a Heart by all sorts of different authors. This is an anthology of stories about love triangles. I'm going to admit, once again, wasn't too excited about this book because I hate love triangles. I just can't stand them. I have heard that this isn't love triangles like you know them, but I still don't know if I'll read this just because anthologies generally aren't my thing in the first place, so one about love triangles just doesn't really interest me. Next up, I have 4 arcs that I received from Penguin Random House. So the first one is That Inevitable Victorian Thing by E.K. Johnston. First of all, this has a beautiful cover, and second of all, I was was super excited about this book because I love Victorian England. I'm totally about that life. But then when I delve further into the synopsis, I realized that this book is going to be very weird. It's a mix between sci-fi and historical fiction, but I'm very excited because it's partially set in Toronto, and I believe it follows one of Queen Victoria's descendants. So it sounds like it could either be one that I'm going to love or I'm going to hate it. So we'll see. And this is coming out on October 3rd, so it's coming out very soon. Next is Warcross by Marie Lu. This is the first of 3 copies you're going to be seeing in this book haul, and I read this book and I loved it. It was so good, and everyone has been raving about it, and it is for good reason. This is like Ready Player One, but YA version and more video gamey. I feel like Ready Player One really excels with the pop culture references, but this is literally this crazy world that is so inventive, and it really just takes you away on this adventure with these characters. It is great. I love it so much. I love the main character. You seriously should go and get your copy of this book because it was so good. Next is Forest of a Thousand Lanterns by Julie C. Dow. This is coming out on October. It's coming out like the 10th or something like that, I think. I could be very wrong, but it doesn't say on the back of it, which sucks. But anyways, this is an East Asian reimagining of the Evil Queen myth, which sounds so great, so I'm very excited to have this. And the final book that I received from Penguin is Jane Unlimited by Kristen Kishore. This seems to be a blend of all sorts of different genres, and I'm very excited to give it a go. I think it's once again going to be very weird. Kristen Kishore is the author of Graceling, which I have not read yet, but I will be hauling in a couple of minutes, so I'm not sure if I'm going to read this first or Graceling first, whatever, wherever the wind takes me. But how pretty is this holographic cover? Like, I'm obsessed. Next up, I got a few arcs from Flatiron Books. So the first one is The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. I had requested this one, and then they ended up sending a couple of others my way and surprising me with that, so thank you so much to them. But The Hazelwood has such a gorgeous cover, and it's kind of just this dark reimagining of fairy tales, which I think seems amazing. I'm totally about that. You guys know that I love fairy tales and I love dark things, so this just sounds right up my alley. This is actually coming out in January of 2018, so this is my first 2018 arc, but I really want to get to in October because it seems like a Halloween-y read. Then they also sent me I Was Dead for 13 Minutes and Now I Want to Know Why by Sarah Pinborough, and this is about a girl who is dead for 13 minutes and wants to know why. So that title just intrigued me, and I just want to go into it knowing just that and see how it goes. And this is coming out on October 3rd, so it will be out by the time you see this video, and it is a thriller and a suspense novel, so sounds very intriguing. And finally is Frankie by Siobhan Plaza, and this sounds like it's kind of a darker contemporary about a kind of unlikable main character who is just very rough and tough on the outside. So she doesn't really let a lot of people in. She's very untouchable, and then she ends up meeting a guy who claims to be her half-brother, and she finally meets someone that she's willing to let in. So this sounds like it could be a very touching and powerful contemporary, so I'm very excited for it. And the final arc is one that I ended up picking up from the back room at work because it was there and I was there and I was kind of intrigued by it, so I was like, sure, I'll give it a go. And that is If There's No Tomorrow by Jennifer L. Armentrout. They were talking about this at the Frenzy Presents event, which kind of made me intrigued. Jennifer L. Armentrout is the author of the Lux series, which I didn't really like because it was very romance heavy, but apparently this is veering way away from that, and she's starting to tackle some more important issues. I believe this features something with drunk driving, someone, I don't know if anyone dies or anything, but I know it features something with drunk driving, and I just feel like that could be a very powerful read. I've never really read about that in teens, so I will maybe give this a go because I can get the audiobook through my library. So I was like, it's in the back room, it's there, I'm there, let's just take it. Also, by let's just take it, I don't mean like steal it. Sometimes we have free arcs in the back room because I work at a bookstore. Just to clarify there. So thank you so much to those publishers for sending me those arcs. I cannot wait to get to them, and now I'm going to get into the books that I received in different subscription boxes this month. So I will leave links to any of these unboxings down below for you guys. So the first book is actually from an August unboxing, but I ended up posting it in September because I had thought I had posted it and I hadn't. Long story short, it is Wonder Woman Warbringer by Leigh Bardugo. This was included in the Littroy crate, and I was so excited about it because it has a signed book plate, so I now have a signed copy of this book, and it was such a great book. It has nothing to do with the movie, but it's following Diana in her teen years and has a wonderfully diverse cast of characters, really kick-ass storyline. It was just amazing, and Leigh Bardugo is my queen, so this is great. Next is Before She Ignites by Jodi Meadows. This was included in the Owl crate this month, and I was so excited about it because it has the Owl crate exclusive cover, which is beautiful, and I had really wanted to read this book. It's all about dragons, and the girl is a huge advocate for dragons, so I was just like, this sounds like everything I want in my life, and I cannot wait to get to it. Next is Even the Darkest Stars by Heather Fawcett. This was included in this month's Fairy Loot, and I was so excited about it because I had actually purchased this book for myself, and then I found out it was going to be the book of the month, and then I ended up being able to exchange it. But clearly I was interested in this book just on my own. It sounds awesome. It's all about exploration and a fantasy setting, and it features dragons once again and different creatures, so it just sounds great. And finally, once again, Warcross by Marie Lu. This one is actually physically signed before she ignites, and even the Darkest Stars had book plates in them. I just didn't show you, but this one is like physically signed, which is awesome, and this was included in this month's uppercase. So I was so excited to see it there because I finally had a finished copy of it. So now the rest of the books in this haul are ones that I got for myself because clearly I needed them, she says sarcastically. So first up is Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. I can never say that name, but this is all about Jack the Ripper and murder and stuff, and it sounds perfect for Halloween. I have heard nothing but amazing reviews for this, so I will definitely be getting to it very soon. Next is The Gilded Cage by Lucinda Gray. This has terrible reviews on Goodreads, but I still decided to pick it up because it's super short, so I didn't feel bad giving it a chance, and it takes place in Victorian England, which I love, and I love historical fiction, and especially Victorian era historical fiction, so I was like, sure, let's give it a go. We'll see how it goes. Next is Wolf by Ryan Groden. I broke my own rule by buying this book because I wasn't going to buy it because I had The Walled City by Ryan Groden on my TBR, and it had been on there for years, literally years, like 3 or 4 years, so I was like, I'm not going to buy her other books, which I'm super interested in, until I read it, but I ended up buying this, so now I'm actually almost done the audiobook for The Walled City, and it was great, so I'm glad that I have this book, but it's all about like an alternate history where Hitler won, and it just sounds like it's going to be crazy. I've heard amazing things from my best friend, and I'm excited. Next is The Forbidden Orchid by Sharon Biggs Waller. This book came out a while ago, and we never ended up getting it at my bookstore, which kind of surprised me, but I was super interested in it, and I started reading it on the airplane to France, and then I got to France and I just wasn't really reading anything, so I didn't end up continuing with it, but it's a historical fiction about this girl who goes to China on the hunt for this rare orchid, and apparently this like plant hunting thing is a real thing, so I'm just super intrigued by this. It has a beautiful cover, and it seems so unique, so I can't wait to get to this. That was very aggressive. Next is once again Warcross by Marie Lu, but the reason that I got this one, it's the UK edition, and I ordered it for myself because it's a frickin' rainbow. I needed this in my life, and I wasn't even mad. It came on the same day as my uppercase, and I was like, oh, I went from having 1 copy to having 3, but I'm keeping them all. So we are down to the final 2 books. So next is The Reader by Tracy Chee. I have been very intrigued by this book just because The Reader, I love reading, so any kind of metafiction I'm super into, anything that examines reading, and this seems to be kind of a book lover's fantasy. And I did an Instagram post of it, and I was looking at quotes to include in my Instagram post, and I was just like in awe of how beautiful the writing was for all of these quotes, so I'm definitely going to get to this soon. I especially love even the quote on the back of here, which says, "This is a book, you are the reader. Look closer, there's magic there." Like, beautiful, and it takes place in a world, in Sophia's world, reading is unheard of, but everything changes when she finds the book. It is the one thing that can save her, it is the one thing that can destroy her. That sounds amazing, I'm so intrigued. And the final book is Graceling by Kristen Kishore. You knew this was going to come eventually, it just ended up being at the bottom of the pile. But I don't really know anything about Graceling, I just know it's a fantasy, super popular, kind of more of a classic YA story, and I haven't read it, and everyone raves about it, so here I am going to read it very soon. So those are all of the books for today's book haul, and I literally have a book haul coming like next week of all of the classics that I've gotten myself because I am a savage. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!